So a huge part of learning mathematics in college is now in the realm of group work, think, pair, share, and other active learning methods. And up until the university shut down, I was teaching a flipped classroom where students would watch the lectures at home and then come into class and work on problems in groups. And it had been working really well. The students seemed to enjoy it, and their grades had been very good. The question is then, how do we continue this in our current online learning environment? How do we run tutorials? How do we run flipped classrooms, etc., where students would typically have been working together in groups? In an ideal world, they'd all join a video call with their instructor would split them into groups, and they would work together on the problems with the instructor hopping around from group to group. So our department is using Zoom, which caters to a fair chunk of this. You can use the breakout rooms function to split your class up into groups, and they can chat with each other. The obstacle remains, however, of how do they share their ideas. Verbally, yes, but a lot of the time I don't think that'll be enough. Various people I've talked to about this have suggested holding pieces of paper up to the webcam or trying to draw with their mouse using Zoom's whiteboard feature, but I don't think this is a good fix, as we're all finding out webcam quality can be pretty poor, and I think it's a horrendous task to ask of anyone to do something like a trig substitution on what is essentially just paint. Anyway, so I think an ideal fix to this would be that every student would have an iPad or a tablet, and they would join the meeting through their app and work through the problems, but not all students have iPads. So what do you do? I think there might be an alternative, and for this students would need three things. They'd need a laptop, a smartphone, and pen and paper. And I think we can safely assume that most students have these. So the first thing I've done is I've set up this folder in Dropbox. Now, why have I done this? So a lot of our students in our tutorials have already cemented a group that they'll work with every week. So what I've done pretty much is labeled them. I think most tutorials will have 6 groups or so. Let's say Camilo, Jerome, Sarah and Bridget all work together every week. I grant them access to this folder, so I label them as group 1, and so on until every group has a folder. And when they open their folder, they see this. So I have here lecture 21, lecture 22. This could be replaced with tutorial 21, tutorial 22, tutorial 23. And this looks like a lot of work to create, but really it's actually very fast. You just abuse copy and paste, which is why I have this one that's just called group. So if I select this and just select copy, and now I paste, Dropbox will automatically call it group 7. So you just create one of these and just hit copy paste. So the next thing they'll need is to download Dropbox onto their phone. This will become relevant in a second. So I'm going to close out of this and try and play the role of a student about to log on for their tutorial, active learning session, flipped classroom, whatever. So I open Zoom, and I'll be joining my instructor's call, but for the sake of this I'm just going to start a new meeting. And what I want to do is make this half screen. Then the other half I'm going to use Chrome. Okay, so bear with me a second. Students will get used to this now. So then I'm going to open my Dropbox folder. So at this stage I'm in the call. I've been I'm waiting for the instructor to split us all into groups, or I'm waiting for the tutorial to start. So I go to my folder, let's say my group folder that I have access to, and I open, let's say it's lecture 21, and my instructor will have put the worksheet for this session here. I open it in a new tab, and I look at the questions. So I start talking to people in my group about each problem, and we write with pen and paper, just wherever we are in the world. And let's say I'm doing question 1, and Aaron doesn't know how to do it. He's confused about this problem, or whatever. So I think I have a solution, so I say to Aaron, I think I've written out a solution. I take out my phone, I open my Dropbox app, and I scan it, and I just upload it into this folder. So I'm doing this now as we speak, and save, and now if I hit refresh, there we go. So that was almost instantaneous, and here's the scan of the question that Aaron didn't know how to do. So I think maybe after 1 or 2 sessions your students will have this down. It'll be pretty quick, and I like how it's very clear. The other great part about this is that as the instructor you will have access to all of these groups. So let's say group 2 has a question, they call you into their breakout room, you can write an explanation on your own piece of paper and upload it straight into that group's Dropbox using your phone. You don't need an iPad, you don't need a tablet, and they can see it clearly and essentially instantaneously. You can use this for office hours, for your tutorials, whatever. So this Dropbox folder, yeah, it doesn't take that long to create. You just make this group, and then you just hammer copy paste. Even for lecture, I just made one called lecture and just spammed copy paste. Yeah, so I think the other main obstacle to all of this is the whole thing of time zones. So a lot of your students are probably in different parts of the world, and this will call for asynchronous learning methods. It's not fair to assume that someone on the West Coast can make a 9 AM Eastern time tutorial. So what I've done is I've emailed my students to see where they are in the world, and I hope that they'll pair up into groups based off time zones, and they'll work together like that, and I'll hold office hours later in the day to check up on those groups that can't make the earlier times. So yeah, that's my idea of how to run tutorials and different sort of active learning sessions, just using Dropbox, and it's pretty instantaneous. I might make a short video on how I actually upload using my phone, just to demonstrate it for my students. Yeah, so let me know what you think.